بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم ربنا لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم ربنا أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي ربنا زدنا علما وعملا وإخلاصا يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر أولياءك في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها، اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم فرج عنا وعن إخواننا في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها، اللهم نفس كربنا وكربهم وثبت أقدامنا وأقدامهم والطف بنا وبهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين يا رب العالمين. وصل وسلم على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay, so we have been looking at this sentence of Allama Iqbal: serial time is the essence of causality. Causality as defined by Kant. So we sort of digressed and we're looking at Kant's conception of knowledge as such, because in order to understand this claim that for Kant serial time is the essence of causality. In fact, serial time is the essence of all concepts, as we have already sort of indicated, and we'll see hopefully in a bit more detail in this session or the next session. For Kant, serial time is the essence of or the foreground of all concepts of understanding, because all concepts have to go through the sieve of the mechanism of or the form of experience, which is time. Okay, let's go back then. Kant's basic idea of knowledge is that knowledge of the objective world or the subjective world, or the world inside us, is that knowledge involves two things: knowledge or judgment. For example, perception or thing involve two things: formation and conceptualization or categorization. That we through senses, outer and inner senses. This we do through understanding. So understanding for Kant doesn't provide any content. No content. Only form. Senses, on the other hand, provide information from outside. So information is the content, but they also have a form. And their form is space and time. So space and time are not categories, but they're a form of intuition, a form of our senses. And so content, which we get through categorize, but also it requires a shape. It must, all content we get through senses must be placed within a space and occurring within time. And these space and times are not something which are based on experience. Obviously, we have experience of space and time, but that experience of space and time would not have been possible without a prior intuition of space and time. So we as the sort of creatures we are, we can't help but think or situate information we get through, categorize them, and situate them within a space and occurring within time. So time and space are necessary conditions of necessary condition of all our perceptual knowledge. This is what we covered in the last 2 sessions. But now let's unpack this a bit more. In this sentence or this proposition which we are looking at from Alam Iqbal's involves serial time and causality. So for Kant, serial time is a form of intuition. Causality is a form of understanding. So in order to have any knowledge, we must, and this is sort of rational necessity, we must think of events occurring in the world through the lens of causality. And secondly, we must understand causality itself through the lens of time. So with causality we get necessity. Now Kant agrees with Hume that causality involves necessity, but where he disagrees with Hume is where the necessity derives from. For Hume, necessity derives from repetition of experience through habit, in a sense. But for Kant, necessity, obviously he doesn't deny this necessity, but that necessity is not enough. Necessity is not rational. It derives from the fact that the type of creature we are, we can't have experience or perception of the objects without the concept of causality. So necessity is involved. Necessity here is, you can call it rational necessity. It's the necessity without which it is necessary, in the sense that without causality we can't experience the world. So it is the condition of the possibility of experience. So for Kant, as against Hume, this cannot be derived from, this necessity cannot be derived from experience itself, because without it, experience would not have been possible. Okay, So let's go back. Alarmic Ball proposition, as I said, involve two concept of serial time and causality. So for Kant, causality is the condition of any experience. So we must think of what happens, events within our experience, as causally linked. And since causality, like all other concepts, must go through categorization through the lens of time, the concept of causality also must be serial in the sense that event X and event Y, or event 1 and event 2, if event 1 precedes event 2, that succession itself is objective and necessary, because without this experience would not be possible. We can't think otherwise, think in rational sense, obviously, not in the imaginative sense. Okay, so if we want to rehearse what we said in a more systematic way or more sequential way, first, for Kant, time is a pure form of intuition, like space, which means that we can only perceive objects, only is important here, perceive objects through the lens of. That gives time a necessity, rational necessity, you can call it, or constitutive necessity. We can't have objective experience of the world without situating our experience within time. That's what gives time a necessity vis-a-vis our experience. Okay. In other words, we can't conceive events happening outside of temporal sequence. So that's the first. Okay. So when we experience events, for example, if you think over the events in your day, for example, our understanding imposes necessarily, it's not an optional thing, imposes a causal order on that. So for example, if you see a stone flying and is striking a window of a car. The window crashes. So the events here, flying, striking the window, and the window crashes. Necessary in order to have experience of objective experience of these events, you must locate these experiences within time. Secondly, you must impose causal link between these events. 1, 2, 3. Like 1 is the cause of 2, 2 is the cause of 3, or whatever it is actually. So you can't, it's not optional that you link these 3 events through a causal sequence. And since this is not optional, this causal sequence is necessary as well. Which is another way of saying that we don't just see one event followed by another. So we don't just see stone throwing, striking a window, and window smashing. We don't just see this follows this and this follows that. We actually understand them them causing one event is caused by another. We understand them. We understand that one event causes another. So a stone causes striking, and striking causes smashing, or both the striking, throwing a stone, flying a stone, and striking cause together smashing. So we don't just so we are compelled to see these events, and this is rational compulsion, or constitutive compulsion, without which knowledge is not possible. We see these 3 events as causally linked, and they are necessary because this is not just based on empirical observation. Why? Because we can't have empirical observation without a structure of mind which is constituted in such a way that it can't help but see events as causally linked. Okay, so and that's Kant's answer, and the reason his reply to him is that empirical observation can't be the whole sole thing, because empirical observation only shows us succession. It shows us flying stone, striking, and smashing. It doesn't show us necessity. And even if it shows us necessity, that's just a habitual necessity, which for Kant is not enough. So where does rational necessity come from? come from the structure of our mind or structure of our knowledge, however you want to portray this. Okay, now we move to sort of our last point. So causality, according to Kant, has two things: necessity, which comes through the fact that all our information must go through concepts of understanding, and causality is one of them. So we must see all events as causally connected, and the succession between them is necessary and causally connected. Okay, but where does serial time come from? Serial time. That serial time comes from that we must see causality, these events occurring within time. Within time. Okay, so that's where time comes from. But within time, because time is the form of all our intuition. Okay, but where does serial come from? So time is serial. This time is serial. So in that sense, serial time is the condition of causality as well. In other words, very a possibility of understanding events as causally related presupposes a fundamental temporal order, and that temporal order is called serial time, meaning that three events we saw: flying stone, striking a window, smashing a window, they have a sequence, because otherwise our experience would be um, otherwise our experience would be just a jumble of events. We won't be able to connect them causally. So in order to connect the events causally, we must situate them in time, and we must understand time in a serial order. Otherwise we won't have the distinction between cause and effect. So this is a cause, this is the effect and cause, and this is effect only. It's not that this, we can't say this is the cause and this is effect 1 and this is effect 2. Why we can't see that? Because time is serial. There is a sequence to it. So that's what serial time is, the essence of causality for Kant. That's how we understand Kant. Allama Iqbal's statement here. So to sum up, we can only grasp events as related through cause and effect because we understand the events or the phenomena as existing and changing within a unified temporal framework, which is the framework of serial time. Because if time were not inherently, according to Kant, serial, in the sense that the sequence are not optional, that's what we mean by serial, and ordered, our experience would be just a chaotic jumble of perception. We would not have any basis for understanding cause and effect. So we can understand cause and effect only because we understand cause and effect in the context of a framework of serial and ordered time, where time has a arrow, so to speak, and that arrow is necessary arrow. Okay, so I think we can go back. Now I think we have a good handle on Alam Iqbal's claim that for Kant, time, serial time, is the essence of the causality. So for serial time is the essence of causality as defined by Kant. And cause and its effects are mutually so related that former, that is the cause, is chronologically prior to the latter. So that is the former, if the former is not, the latter cannot be. If mathematical time is a serial time, then on the basis of theory, it is possible by a careful choice of velocities and of the observer and the system in which a given set of events is happening to make the effects proceed. That seems contradictory. Um, if mathematical time is a serial time, then on the basis of theory, if possible by careful choice of velocity of the observer and the system in which a given set of events is happening to make the effect proceed. I don't think it's possible in the Kantian system. In physics, there is symmetry between cause and effect. So physically, according to physical laws or equation, there's no arrow there. But in the Kantian system, as Alam Iqbal himself shows there, so it seems like there must be some either there must be some typo here, or he's talking about something else. According to that former is required, so that if the former is not, the latter cannot be. If mathematical time is a serial time, then the basis of theory is possible by a careful choice of the velocity of the observer and system in which a given set of events happen to make the effect precede its course. That's not clear to me, but we'll see it next time, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala ali sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim wa sallim. Subhan rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin amin ya rabbal alamin.